Hey there and welcome. Are you a woman who is unapologetically ambitious, but you're also deeply focused on honoring God, loving your family well, and pursuing meaningful work? Well, you've come to the right place. My name is Dana Byers, and you and I are going to be fast friends. Let's get started. Before we get started today, I want to take just a moment to share with you a recent Apple podcast review that I received. Hannah says, "This is a practical, God-centered podcast that is full of applicable strategies and supportive encouragement. I am so happy I found this. Thank you for sharing from your heart and from your life. I can't recommend this enough." Hannah, thank you for these encouraging words. And listen, if my podcast has helped you in any way, it would mean the world to me if you would take just a moment, go to Apple Podcasts and leave me a 5-star review. Thank you so much. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to Been There, Learned That. This is the podcast that helps Christian working women break free from limiting habits and limiting beliefs and embrace their full potential. I'm Dana. I aim to be your empathetic accountability coach, and today we're going to dive into a topic that I think will resonate with so many of you. Work habits that are rooted in people-pleasing and reputation management. No matter what job you work, no matter what kind of work you do, I promise you that people-pleasing and reputation management are not on your job description. Now, I know we all want to be liked and respected, but when our behaviors or our focus on that at work start costing us our joy, our peace, and our confidence, it's time to reevaluate. So today, I want to shine a light on 6 sneaky, expensive work habits that may be holding you back in your career. So when I use the word expensive, I'm not necessarily referring to money, though I have personally seen women who are engaging in some of these behaviors. I've seen them be overlooked for promotions, due in part, at least in part, to one or more of these behaviors. But really, when I say these are expensive behaviors or habits, I'm referring to another type of price that you also don't want to pay: the cost of losing respect of your peers or your leadership, the cost or experience of feeling unappreciated or undervalued, or even the experience of losing confidence in your ability to advance in your career. So let's get curious together as we unpack how these habits are impacting you, and more importantly, how you can start making changes for a more fulfilling work life. So you see, work habits that are rooted in people-pleasing and reputation management can often lead to burnout. That's why it's so important to me to talk about this. I have experienced burnout many times in my career. I burned out really for the last time in 2017. And since that time, I've been passionate about finding ways to unlock my ability to avoid burnout, but also behave in a way in my work life, in my personal life, that is much more freeing and enjoyable. So I love sharing here on the podcast and also with my clients ways that we can avoid burnout. So talking about these habits and how they can lead to burnout, a lack of fulfillment, and even stunted personal growth, that's going to help us really get a better understanding of where some of these sneakier things come in. Because the fact is, you and I, all of us know all of the common workplace habits that we catch ourselves or our coworkers doing, right? There's a lot of common ones, and I'm not going to be talking about those today, but here they are: a lack of boundaries, perfectionism, overcommitting to more projects than anyone should really be able to handle at one time, working too late or taking on too many hours, refusing to delegate, not asking for help if you're stuck or don't know how to do something, avoiding conflict or disagreement, or avoiding saying no or a fear of saying no. You've heard of all of those. And those are all really unfortunate habits that we engage in at work from time to time. They do not serve us. They do not serve our peers or coworkers. They don't serve our leaders, but you've heard about all of those. And many of us have been guilty of those from time to time. I sure have. I'm raising my hand. But today I really want to bring to your attention 6 sneaky work habits. These are things that I've talked through with clients. I've worked through some of them in my own life, and I call them expensive because, like I said, they can cost you your joy, your peace, and your confidence as you progress in your career. So let's take a look at these because I think they're going to give you some insight into where you might be experiencing some unnecessary energy drain in your life. So I'm inviting you to get curious, lean in with me for the next few minutes. I'm going to identify all 6 of these expensive career habits. I'm going to briefly define them for you, and I'm going to explain exactly how each of them might impact your career. So keep in mind as you're listening that these habits are not expensive for your leaders. They don't cost your coworkers anything. They really don't cost anyone else anything at all. But if or when you engage in these workplace behaviors, you are the one who is paying the high price. All right. Behavior 1, constantly seeking validation. So when this happens, this is when a woman is regularly looking for feedback or approval from her supervisors, her peers, maybe even her direct reports or her clients. And she's doing that to feel confident or to feel better about her work or her decisions, or even just who she is as a person. Well, the impact of that constantly seeking validation is that it reduces the autonomy and it creates a dependency on external validation. So she's not really able to move forward or lead by her own tuition, by her own abilities. Instead, she's looking to others to help create a false sense of trust. She's not able to develop an authentic self-trust or a sense of confidence in her own abilities. And if she does have direct reports, they probably struggle to see her as a leader or someone they would want to follow. Many of them, in fact, might be looking at her thinking, I could do her job better than she does. All right, these are going to be some pretty, if you can't already tell, direct and clear descriptions. I'm not trying to be super friendly here. I want to be very direct because my goal is if any of you are experiencing, let's call them the thorns or the splinters of these behaviors, I want to help, hopefully with empathy, start to pull that splinter out right now. Because if you can understand what's happening and the impact of it, it's probably going to give you a greater ability to step back and consider that behavior and how you might be able to change if you want to change. All right. So that first habit I just shared with you, the unusual one we don't talk about a lot, that is very expensive to your career, is constantly seeking validation. The second behavior is over-explaining, or I've heard some clients call it, over-apologizing. So when this happens, she is constantly justifying her decisions, her actions, making lengthy descriptions. She's constantly justifying any mistakes or misunderstandings to avoid potential criticism or to maintain the reputation, either the reputation of being maybe trustworthy or dependable, or maybe even just wanting everyone to think that she is right most of the time. So the source or the reason that she wants to maintain a particular reputation might vary woman to woman. And that's not so important so much as just identifying that if a woman in the workplace is constantly over-explaining or trying to justify all of her things, it creates a drain. And the real impact is it can undermine her confidence and the confidence of others in her. It can create the perception that she actually doubts her own abilities. You might have heard it said before. I remember hearing a leader say this years ago. He said, the more you talk, the less difficult it is to believe that you trust the path that we're taking. And I heard him say that to another leader in a meeting. And I so appreciated how candid and direct he was, because I think it caused me to stop and think, even though he wasn't saying that to me, that it's very easy to want to over-explain or over-apologize when really we don't have to over-justify ourselves. If we've been hired to do a particular role, if someone asks us questions, of course we're going to give information. We wouldn't hide anything. But leading with that can undermine the confidence that others have in us. And it can also undermine the sense of confidence that we have in ourselves to be able to say less and let our work speak for itself. Okay, so the third habit or behavior is avoiding taking credit. Well, this happens when a woman downplays her achievements or her contributions. She might do that to appear humble or because, she is humble, but to avoid making others uncomfortable. Well, here's the impact of that. I would never encourage you to be prideful and try to take credit for all sorts of things. But the impact of avoiding taking credit is others see that. I've thought of this before when I have direct reports, particularly young women early in their career. I want them to see me take credit where it's due to create an environment where they also are comfortable learning how to take credit. Because the impact of avoiding taking credit is it undervalues our work, and it could cause others to overlook our contributions for future promotions or leadership opportunities. And you've heard it said before, I'm sure, that we sort of teach or train people how to treat us. If a woman avoids taking credit long enough, she gets herself into a position where she might feel undervalued or unappreciated because people around her get a lot of credit. I wouldn't say that I've seen this happen to a woman to the point that she maybe feels invisible or seems invisible in the workplace, but she certainly might feel diminished when she gains awareness through coaching that she hasn't been standing up to accept appropriately the achievements or contributions that she is celebrated for. So the fourth behavior or habit that I want to look at that is expensive for your career is chronic people-pleasing language. And this is so sneaky, you guys. Like, we do this to ourselves, probably unintentionally, I would say, when we frequently use phrases such as, I hope that's okay with you, or we ask, is that all right with you? Or we might even say something like, absolutely, whatever you need, no problem, I'll figure it out. And we do that to maintain others' favor or to avoid confrontation. Well, the impact of our words or that people-pleasing language being so sneaky is it creates a sense of insecurity within us. And it can make it difficult for us to assert our own ideas, leading to a compromised self-respect. Now, the problem with a compromised self-respect is we don't notice it until it's hit a bit of a boiling point. And perhaps in the workplace or in our personal life somewhere, we hit a moment of stress and we start making decisions or using words that do not consider what would be best for us, that do not consider what we truly need to happen, which is why I think it's sneaky to use this people-pleasing language. We're trying to maintain others' favor, to support them, to avoid confrontation, but it can really end up, kind of biting us in the back unintentionally if we're not aware of it. So the fifth kind of sneaky, expensive behavior or habit in the workplace is taking criticism too personally. Now, overreacting to constructive feedback or obsessing over, minor critiques, trying to fix every perception that others might have, that is classic reputation management. You were not hired to help people figure out what opinions they need to form of you. That's a whole job. I mean, think about how much energy it takes for you to try to create a narrative for other people to know exactly how you come across. And I really love to challenge lovingly. I love to lovingly challenge myself and my clients on this, because if we take criticism too personally, we are difficult to work with. We're either not easy to approach, or we're not willing to adjust behavior, or we haven't yet learned the art of, let me think of the best way to say this. I think a phrase I learned years ago was to, it's like eating fish. You want to keep the meat and spit out the bones. Whenever you get feedback, it might not be 100% true. You have to be willing to say, what's the meat here? What's true? What isn't? I'm going to spit out those bones. It's a person's opinion. And yes, it might be a leader or someone that you value and that you want to please. But if you're focused on doing exactly what they want or being seen exactly as you want them to see you, then you're not going to be able to actually spend your time and energy on your job. So learning how to not overreact is something that can massively help you. Side note, there's an entire module in my 10-hour confidence transformation course about learning how to receive feedback and what that can do for your work culture. Because the impact of taking criticism too personally is it can create anxiety and it prevents you from moving forward confidently. So you might still be able to move forward, but you're lacking confidence. And that can be sort of a gateway behavior to some of the other things we've already mentioned. Looking to other people for validation, using the people-pleasing language. All of these things are kind of like close cousins and start to happen if we are experiencing anxiety about feedback that we've received, if we've overreacted to it, and it can result in paralysis by analysis, where maybe you've clocked out of work at 5 o'clock, but you're in your bed 11 o'clock at night, still thinking about something someone said to you. Now, to be fair, like you, I have had hurtful things said to me. I've been completely misunderstood in the workplace before. Some of it was just a misunderstanding. Some of it, in one case, I think was a leader who felt threatened by me. But I had to get to a point where I wasn't overanalyzing it and I was able to get back to work. That can take a little bit of coaching and a little bit of effort. But if you would like to learn how to do that, reach out to me. I would love to support you in that as your coach. Okay, so the sixth kind of habit or behavior that is expensive to us, and it's sneaky. We may know that we're doing this one, but we may not know why we're doing it. And the habit is taking on more work, but we do it to prove our worth. This happens when we say yes to maybe an extra project at work, or we volunteer for something. We stay later, we take on the responsibilities of someone else in an intentional effort to show that we are capable, or maybe to receive some recognition. But we do this when our plate is already full. This is a form of self-sabotage. We know our calendar is full. We know our plate is full, but we say yes, but we do it because we're proving to others and or to ourselves, and maybe even to God, we're trying to prove our worth. The impact of this behavior is we experience unsustainable workloads, and there's potential underperformance in key areas. I have seen team members at times receive, a write-up at work when really their intent was to take on more things to show that they could do the job and to prove themselves valuable, and they got themselves in a very difficult spot. It's heartbreaking to see. And when I share these with you, I hope that you're able to look at them from a place, as I said earlier, of curiosity, not from a place of judgment. Because you see, by identifying these expensive but sneaky workplace behaviors, you and I can begin the journey of recognizing when we're acting out of people pleasing, when we're acting out of a place of reputation management, trying to help people see what we want them to think or believe about us, rather than focusing on our well-being and our authentic self-expression and doing the jobs that we were hired to do. So a key step after listening to this list of 6 sneaky ways that we undermined our career performance is to look for ways that you might be engaging in any of these behaviors. Remember the impact that I've just shared with you that each of these behaviors can have on your work experience, and then get some help making changes. It is entirely possible for you to shift out of these behaviors. They're just learned behaviors. You can unlearn them. So I want to thank you for walking through this episode with me today. You were brave. I was very direct. I tried to be very clear. This was not an episode where I was trying to just make you think everything is, bright and flowery at work. But I am trying to encourage you to fully look in the face at how you show up. And whenever you start feeling like the wheels are coming off, whenever you start feeling stressed about things, when your calendar's too full, your plate's too full, you're frustrated with people, you're getting some feedback that things aren't going the way that you wanted them to, you might be able to identify one of these 6 behaviors. And you know what? That is good news. It's good news because these are behaviors that you can be completely empowered to shift out of. You don't have to stay functioning this way. You can change the way you approach work and have so much more joy. So I hope that today's episode helped you identify some of the sneaky ways that people pleasing and reputation management might be creeping into your work life. And remember, these expensive habits don't just drain your time. They will drain your energy and your confidence. I don't want you experiencing the pain of living out these habits at work. So as you go about your week, take note of where these habits might be showing up and don't hesitate to ask for support as you begin making changes. You deserve to thrive in your career, and that starts by prioritizing your well-being over other people's perceptions. I'm going to say that again, friend. You deserve to thrive in your career, and that starts by prioritizing your well-being over other people's perceptions of you in the workplace. Well, until next time, keep showing up for yourself, and don't forget to extend yourself a little bit of grace along the way. Are you a Christian working woman who is looking to boost your confidence and transform your life? Well, I have got just the thing for you. My online course, the 10-hour Confidence Transformation, is available now. This course is designed to fit into your busy schedule and provide you with actionable strategies to increase your confidence. Plus, with your purchase, you will get access to a private monthly group coaching call where we can connect and grow together. Get all of the details right now at danabuyerscoaching.com.